How's it going, everybody? We're live on X, YouTube, LinkedIn, Discord. It's a kind of a sunny day in New York City. It's still a little cold, but excited to be back live with all of you watching us. A couple things before we get started, and I do my typical hand it over to JD. Thank you so much. We hit another milestone on X, 90K. I think this morning when I checked, we were at 93K. Again, community is growing. We're excited for all of you to hear about everything that we have to talk about today. But before we get there, my co-host
JD, and thank you everybody for tuning in. Welcome back. I know it's been a few weeks. We've had a busy period with some ETHDenver events going on, but we're back. And today we're joined by two members of our BD team. Some of you may have met, some of you may have not. Quick run over of the usual of the show. We're gonna give some introductions to them, go through some questions. We're going to talk to them about their experiences in ETHDenver, some key takeaways, some highlights, and also just talk about generally what their plans are for the year as their first time joining us. Without further ado, I think we're ready to invite them up to stage.
Whoa, before we get there, if you're watching us in the future, we appreciate that. Like, comment, retweet, share this with everybody. We appreciate all the commentary that you guys leave. Any questions that you leave after the fact, we're always really good at answering them. So again, if you're watching us in the future, we appreciate that. For those of you watching us right now, I see you. I see the comments. And we appreciate the last time that we were on, we had 500 plus live viewers. Look, we love to interact with you guys. So again, leave your comments. We see you. We appreciate all of you tuning in today on this beautiful Thursday afternoon for me, early morning for the West Coast. Again, appreciate all of y'all. Again, let's do it. Let's bring our guests on, JD. Good day. Hello. Good morning, gentlemen.
Hello. Hey, good morning.
Hello, everyone.
Good afternoon.
So
nice to be here. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, and so warm welcome to you both, Neve and Anjan. Why don't we get started with some introductions to the two of you? Who are you? What do you do at Agoric? Start with you, Anjan.
Hi, thanks, JD. Thanks, Miguel. Thanks, everyone, for coming in. Yeah, I'm on the BD team, on the Partnerships and Business Development team at Agoric. I've been here for a couple of years, and so really excited. This is the first time I've been on the community call, so I'm looking forward to sharing stories and our experiences at ETHDenver last week.
Yeah, and great to have you. And for those in the community, Anjan has been around for quite some time, does a lot behind the scenes. And yeah, this is his first time joining a community call, and I'm excited to have you joining us. Neve, you are not new to the community. You have been on a call before, but for those that didn't tune in last time, can we get a quick introduction to you and your role at Agoric?
Sure, yeah. Hello, everybody. Great to be here again. Do you hear me well? Thumbs
yes.
Up, Miguel, JD. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So great to be here again. I joined for those who were not on the first call I was in. I joined Agoric in the summer to help lead BD, go to market in BD. I've been in the space for 8+ years, mostly with Consensus. Leading go-to-market in business development, and also spent some time in the crypto privacy space, as well as the ZK space. So super excited to it has been a very exciting few months here in Agoric and in the trenches of chain abstraction, user experience, interoperability. It's a very hot topic that. I think it's very crucial to solve and improve in order for us to accelerate adoption and go mainstream. So
looking
looking forward to share more and connecting with you.
Yeah, thank you for the intros. And so, as was mentioned, ETHDenver just wrapped up, still fresh on the minds. So, why don't we start with some takeaways? Some of the key highlights, or what stood out most to you. Continuing with you, Neve.
Yeah. So we had a very. I came back from. So we spent the whole week in ETHDenver. Pretty big team from Agoric. My personal takeaway. I'm coming back from. I came back from ETHDenver. I think even more bullish on what we're trying to solve here. User experience, cross-chain fragmentation, interoperability is still, and is actually getting more and more mindshare and attention from the builders, from the user, from the institution. So I was noticed many more established teams that already doing something, actually trying to expand into the cross-chain UX area. So we had some very interesting conversation with some established team around how we can collaborate and how they can maybe leverage orchestration to enhance their offering. It was the ETHDenver overall. I think it was the less crowded ETHDenver than previous years, but it was the quality of the conversation, which I think were higher. It was mostly builders or people who have been around for some time. So it was less about prices or this NFT project or this NFT project, but more about concrete use cases around DeFi, concrete conversation about how we can collaborate to enable builders to go faster with their solution, or go multi-chain faster. So more real and concrete conversation, and yeah. So overall, I'm coming back. Our first USDC announcements was well received. We got a very good feedback from a lot of teams. We're happy to hear about it, especially when we'll expand about it more about the positioning and how they came to us with some ideas about how they can leverage. So it was good.
And turning over to you, Engine, anything you want to add? Any from your side, your perspectives?
Sure. Yeah, and I think just seconding that, we're seeing more and more infra players themselves that are beginning to realize, or more than probably beyond beginning to realize, like beyond the beginning stage, but really start to prioritize the more kind of robust programmability that you need to get to the ideals of chain abstraction and unified liquidity and defragmentation. And so there's a deeper understanding that kind of the traditional tools and traditional bridging alone, does not get us to where we need to go. So that is definitely something that you could feel, as well as directly hear from conversations with people that we had, with talks that were given, with the positioning of how companies are even positioning themselves, and in their booths, or in their or in the talks that they give. So that's something that we've continued to see. If you look at last year, you saw the beginnings of a lot of talk about multi-chain, at least kicking off the box. What that really is and what that really means, wasn't really that specific last year. Whereas this year, you're starting to see more the meat on the bones, like what does multi-chain mean? What are the different levels of multi-chain? And you're starting to see, a lot more emphasis around chain abstraction and the programmability and the levels of abstraction that you need, which of course leads us to orchestration. So as a broader theme that I noticed.
Yeah, thank you both for sharing. And Miguel, I know you were there as well. You were on the ground in Denver. You were manning the booths and talking to people, sharing on socials. Maybe you have any insights you want to share with us as well?
Yeah, 100%. I think that it's always a pleasure meeting community in person. There's always two types that we kind of mention here. It's the user perspective, and in marketing is always the story narrative that we're trying to tell, like how we're making the space less complex for users. And then on the developer side is how can we kind of make it easier for you to create and build what you're trying to build. So for me, speaking to people, there were 4 things, and we recently launched a poll on X that kind of marries to what we were speaking about in person with people at ETHDenver is the struggles bridging between chains, juggling multiple wallets, the complexity of the transactions that you're trying to execute, and then there not being enough liquidity in the places that you're trying to do these swaps or exchanges and all these different things that you face when you're trying to make a transaction in general. So that really resonated with people, the solution that we're bringing to the table, orchestration. And then, they love hearing about fast USDC. I think the stablecoin narrative right now is really strong as well. Like how can we make something that, it has the word stable in it. So how can we make that faster, more stable, more kind of accessible for people to just transact easier using these different stable coins? So for me, the main takeaway here from speaking to people is that it's the market fit. I think we're solving for the right things, and we're on the right path of continuing to build out this solution for people. And I think a lot of people just want to kind of collaborate and work with us. So interesting to see where we take those conversations moving forward. But also, how available we make ourselves will also be super important. Being able to execute on what these kind of people bring to the table of, how they see us as a fit, how else we could kind of help execute and produce.
Yeah, 100%. And, I wasn't there, but it's great to have the perspectives from the 3 of you who were on the ground there. So coming to the topic of, the projects, Niamh, you mentioned some. So what types of teams and projects were interested in Agoric and orchestration?
Yeah, so I can probably split it to, I think, 3 or 4 categories. First is early stage builders who are looking to expand cross-chain quickly, and without investing too much risk. Potentially.
I think we.
Okay, yeah. So Niamh had mentioned to this earlier. He might be facing some Wi-Fi technical issues. But if Andrew, you want to hop in and kind of answer on Niamh's behalf here.
Yeah, I'm gonna we'll answer here. I think where he was going is we're looking at things like your established DeFi projects that are looking for one click X, one click blank, could be one click staking, one click lending, one click depositing across chain, this type of simplified cross chain DeFi. So going beyond just cross chain being I want to send asset A from chain X to chain Y, but I want to also do things with that asset, something that actually cross-chain DeFi, or other types of complex workflows. So you're seeing an increased recognition of that with established DeFi projects. The other category are those early stage projects, that maybe haven't started yet, or again in the early stages, maybe they've had a light paper, a white paper, but they want to bake multi-chain into it from the get-go, or they've launched early on one chain, but they know in their growth strategy is to enable multi-chain use cases beyond just an asset transfer. So that's another area that we're looking at, and then I think Niamh touched on this earlier. The infra providers, cross-chain infra projects looking to expand either by, either horizontally in terms of, expanding to, different chains or different features, or, kind of thickening, they're going kind of vertically, like saying that, well, we ourselves recognize that we need to provide or need to provide, our infra needs to, be more robust. So it'll be able to enable bigger, better use cases to enable those kind of complex cross-chain workflow type use cases like cross-chain DeFi. So you're seeing a very similar need across these different segments and different, entity personas. And that's a good thing. That validates thesis that we're on the right track.
Yeah, and thanks for
Yeah,
picking that
sorry
up,
for
Andrew.
sorry for the yeah. Thanks. I probably I can just say I agree with everything Angel said. But yeah, we are pretty much aligned on this, I'm sure.
So discussions in Denver, I'm sure orchestration was a key focus. So with that, how did conversations about orchestration go? And building on that, do you find that you are how much of it are you having to explain to people at this stage?
Okay, so there is still a level of education that need to be done about orchestration. It's still, for some people, it's not let's say it's not a super well-known terms yet. We still need to do work in terms of marketing it and educating people about it. But I think more and more people understand, and especially those who are deep in the cross-chain abstraction area, understand that bridging by itself is not going to be enough for the future blockchain stack, and there will have to be another layer on top of it. So I can share an example. I was talking with someone and was asking me, okay, how is orchestration is different from a bridge? And I was saying, orchestration is about not just moving an asset from one chain to another to other chain. It's more about enabling an end-to-end, more complex use case. And he said, oh, that's more like a general purpose bridge. So you can do more than just one. Yeah, what the value orchestration can bring, there is that some of the cases they find very interesting. It's around the automation and the automation, one click, for example, one-click staking, depositing, lending, leveraging across different chain. Some of the things around user experience, that we can enable more functionalities on their app, like auto compounding, recurring purchasing, more complex trading strategies like DCA, stop orders, and stuff like this. So that's where the type. So and to Andrew probably point before, I think the one-click cross-chain thing, the user experience, and how we can expand more basic cross-chain infrastructure. That's the core areas we had a lot of conversation around.
And so thanks for expanding on that. So moving on, were there any new partnerships or collaborations that came out of ETHDenver that you can share with us? Maybe some alpha here.
Yes. We had, so just to give you an idea, we had around 15 high-value face-to-face meetings with established partners across the different categories that Anjan share, that are actually interested in diving, having a more advanced conversation around how they can use or integrate orchestration. We generated around 30 to 40 new leads, actual project that, that either early stage or mid stage or established, that want to use orchestration, want to learn more. We think there is an opportunity there for us to collaborate. And so and some of this meeting, I can tell you, we already, let's say we met one of the largest EVM L2, the founders and the CEO of one of the largest Ethereum L2, to discuss how we can use orchestration. And we met some of the big DeFi projects to discuss, introduce orchestration. And we met with some of the big, what I call enterprise crypto, so a big custody player who may want to do more on chain. So we still haven't yet announced anything, but the conversation is pretty hot. So I hope things will, we'll be able to share more things in public very soon.
Awesome. So I think I think we can move on from ETHDenver. We got a good summary from all of you, Miguel, as well, on how it went. So beyond ETHDenver, how is the BD team at Agoric OpCo approaching 2025? What's the strategy for partnerships and adoption? And I'll turn to you, Anjan, for this one.
Sure. A couple of things that we can, we can talk about, and some of it is, we've touched on of, what our priorities were in, at ETHDenver. But in the first half of this year, we're looking about getting the orchestration rocket off the ground. Focusing on getting projects signed up, announced, and of course deployed on chain. And with a bigger focus on quantity, right? Just getting, not that we're not focusing on quality, but as well. But the first thing is getting liftoff. We're also going to focus on expanding fast USDC integration, right? Because that is, I think it was mentioned before by Niv and Miguel as well, that there was a surprising amount of interest in fast, in USDC or this type of cross-chain stablecoin use cases in our fast USDC offering coming up, as well as stablecoins itself, as you would imagine, was a big theme that that we picked up at ETHDenver. And you don't necessarily have to go to a crypto conference to see that. I mean, stablecoins are a major, some call it the current killer use case of crypto. So, so certainly, getting fast USDC further off the ground and then expanding it, and in various ways is a priority. Of course, supporting our EVM expansion is very important, and I'm sure we'll have things to announce in the near future there. And then finally, also working to evaluate kind of early stage builders who want to utilize orchestration. Personally, that's something I've been more directly involved with in terms of my kind of proportional effort. So that getting these, we'll have some announcements. You may have noticed an announcement of Baratrax a few weeks back. There'll be some announcements very, very shortly coming up, for some companies with some very interesting use cases that want to use orchestration. And I would think by sometime in the next 1 to 2 weeks, be on the lookout for that. Don't want to name names, although again, these are not major players, but we think they will be major players, right? That they're still good players that have already launched and and are quite possible future major players. And so these are the types that we want, and certainly we'll be looking forward to announcing those. And some of those partnerships were solidified at ETHDenver, in terms of getting more face-to-face discussion, as well as new ones that we're getting off the ground, again, with the conversations that we had last week.
So just to expand on that a little bit, without naming any names, what kinds of projects are you prioritizing for engagement? Sticking with you, Andy.
Let me.
Yeah, Niv, by all means.
Go ahead. No, I just want to add to Anjan's point. We take a look, even a step back. So Q4 2024 Q4, the last 3-4 months were about getting Agoric orchestration on the momentum train. So we announced around close to 10 new partnership only in Q4, and we were on the ground in like 7-8 different events promoting Agoric and orchestration into this community people, as well as setting up the foundation to accelerate the growth of Agoric. Now, Q1 and Q2, our focus is shifted. We are between, I think, main categories. First is to get partners to deploy on-chain. It's a high priority for us. We are actively working with Alice and Omniflix to deploy on-chain, and we hope to get there pretty soon. As well as, we collaborate on the fast USDC launch. So we want to get partners to deploy on chain. We want to expand as USDC, and we already see, like I mentioned, interest in potentially expanding vertically with other use cases as well as horizontally with more assets. So there is a lot of room there to grow. And lastly, is continue to engage with the builders and established projects that want to integrate orchestration. And actually, the last category is what Anjan mentioned, is the infrastructure provider that can increase the orchestration distribution. Anjan, by the way, had a very interesting conversation in ETHDenver. I forgot to mention, I don't know if you want to share it. This is a pretty interesting alpha about one of the big wallet infrastructure provider.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you can mention name already.
I prefer not to mention the name, but partly because they're if that's okay. But yeah, it's a certainly one that I would be surprised if anyone listening to this call was not aware of, which is why I would not want to mention their name. But yes, it's maybe it will be something to mention in the near future. Yes, it's interesting how this market and this ecosystem is going to grow. Like, could you see wallet providers becoming, I mean, they're already incredibly important, but could you see them being more than just, expanding on their being the kind of the first touch point to the user, the consumer, but expanding also their own horizontal into providing deeper functionalities in DeFi or DeFi-like functionality that, or at least closer, tighter integration with various DeFi protocols, but especially on the cross-chain side. And you see the beginnings of it with wallets that are looking to have tokens from various different ecosystems in heterogeneous ecosystems. But could you then add deeper functionality to heterogeneous ecosystems? And so there are wallet companies that are looking at that, and certainly one that we've had some very good conversations with, including last week with their senior staff. So it's okay. But I hope it's okay if I had a hold back on the alpha there, but I didn't want to mention them, but because I want to make sure that we are able to mention them more credibly in the not too distant future.
Nobody will fault you for not mentioning them. I think the most important part will be that it goes through.
Yeah.
But yeah, exciting. I think. Go for JD.
Some pre-alpha. So yeah, I think that's a good place for us to wrap. We got some good questions with you guys. We got some good insights, some reflection on the ETHDenver event, some overview of the strategy that you guys are taking. But before we do you have any thoughts that you want to just share? Anything you want to add? Anything you weren't asked that you'd just like to share with the community? Neve, I'll turn to you.
I think in general, as probably most of you already aware, the momentum is very positive and strong around crypto and blockchain from all from all directions, so regulation, institution, investment. We see obviously it's very positive for us. I think most people understand that the blockchain stack is going to be complex. It might not be one chain, one execution environment rule them all. So they see a lot of interest. They understand that will have to be some kind of something that get them all together. And so that's position orchestration in a very interesting, Agoric and orchestration in a very interesting position. And obviously we care a lot about the community. We always appreciate feedback and inputs from the community. So I'm more than happy to engage with them in any way possible. We are. To add to Andrew's point, we are going to be on the ground heavily in the next in all the major crypto events. A lot of stuff going on in New York, where I'm based, so it's make things a bit easier in terms of traveling. But we're going to be presence in all the major events, and we're going to expand to more ecosystem as well. So you can expect to see us in Solana stuff, in the EVM stuff, and so we can let people, as many people, know about orchestration and what they can do with it.
Yeah.
And Engine, any closing thoughts, insights from you?
Sure. I think one thing that I don't think we mentioned that is important to mention in terms of vibes and mindshare coming out of ETHDenver was certainly a lot, as would probably not be surprised to anybody living, but a lot on AI agents, not just AI, but specifically AI agents. And there was definitely a lot on that. Now, where AI agents actually fit in, like anything with AI or AI agents in any whether it's crypto or anywhere else, there's always a a lag between the hype and the fundamentals and the reality and where the rubber meets the road. So I think we're going to be watching that closely on where we can play a role. And I call it a little bit more pre-alpha. We are looking at that as also kind of one of these reach areas of where we could play a part, either to utilize or to further that, or both. In that space, and are having some conversations with some early stage-ish projects that seem to be serious in this space. So stay tuned for that as well. But that's also another thing I wanted to throw out there, that we are aware of the hype around AI agents, just because we didn't bring it up until the very end here. But I think it's also about being methodical about it and finding again, where can we utilize this in a concrete manner.
I think that thought is going to be very much appreciated by members of the community who have also been asking about AI agents around Discord a lot lately. So they'll have to tune in to the end to catch those insights. Niv, Anjan, thank you both for joining us today. It was great having you. Thank you both for making the time for this to come talk to the community.
For sure. Thank you. Thank you for having us. It's great.
It was another great conversation, JD. Really quickly, as we kind of wind down here, appreciate all 300 plus of you watching us live right now. You missed us. I could tell that you missed us. You guys are tuning in to another fantastic Community Connect. But JD, what are you feeling?
Yeah, I think this is a great return. Our last Community Connect was a pre-ETHDenver discussion, and then the next one back is talking post-ETHDenver. Community got to meet a new member of the team in Anjan, and then got more insights from Niv. And I think overall they shared plenty, and I enjoyed it. I think it all went really well. And again, thank you both for the time, and also to thank you all in the audience for tuning in. So in wrapping up, it was somebody actually mentioned around the point of community feedback and engagement. And before we close out, I just want to share that we have opened up our next quarterly community survey for submissions. And so please, everybody, take the time to go fill that out. You can find it on the community forum. It'll be posted into Discord, into Telegram, and on Twitter. And so if you've participated in the past, this is your chance to share your thoughts on what's changed and how things at Agoric are evolving. If you haven't submitted a survey in the past, we'd love to hear your perspective on the Agoric ecosystem. The surveys have been very valuable to us in the previous rounds. We've taken your feedback, and it's already shaping how we engage. And there is a prize for the first 10 people who complete the survey. There's some swag packs to be distributed. So yeah, please take the time. It'll take you about 5 minutes to fill it out, and your insights are really valuable to us.
While we appreciate the 300, if you're watching us in the future, make sure to leave your comments, leave your questions. You guys get to see the whole thing in one sitting, and we want to get feedback from you all as well. So make sure, again, leave those questions, comments on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on X, on anywhere that you're watching us. But we appreciate all the engagement. And then again, we're at 93K. We're so close to hitting 100K. I think it's one of the bigger goals since I got here to Agoric. So again, it's all about the growth. It's all about, you know, continuing to tell that story about, you know, what we're trying to accomplish, especially with orchestration. And then this quarter, at least in the past 2.5 months, you know, fast UTC coverage on Milk Road, you know, all the new community connects, this kind of format of presenting everything that we're accomplishing. Anjan mentioned that we're going to be in more events throughout the year. It's going to be, you know, I think, you know, strap in. It's going to get more hot if you thought that we were kind of sharing alpha or just sharing information in general. That's the goal, at least with me and JD, is to continue to update all of you who are watching us. You know, stay informed. You know, Agoric. There were, I'm going to tell this real fast. There were two kind of people when I spoke to at ETHDenver. People who knew Agoric and like, we love what you guys are doing, or two, the second one was the people who learned about Agoric and said, I want to follow you guys and learn more about what you're doing as you progress throughout the year. So everyone's hyped, and we hope to continue to show that hype throughout the year.
And yeah, with that, thank you all for joining, and we'll see you next time for our next Community Connect. Take care.
Catch you in the next one.